Welcome to the Headley Highlight Show's Headley Headspaces. The Headspaces are a series of thoughts and musings I have during the course of the week, and I chew all over them and I share them with you. And this Headspace is called The Theatre in Istanbul, not the cocaine train to Ukraine. So before I jump into this week's Headspace, I have done so many this week, I want to do two things. One, thank everyone who's been listening and enjoying my show and keeps coming back, which is fabulous. But also to welcome all my new subscribers to my YouTube channel, which is called DeniseHeadley.com, which is also the same name as my website where you can donate. And you can donate with any kind of a remuneration you feel appropriate. I currently have 1,225 subscribers. I'm aiming for 1,500. Do help me get there. Join the community. And over at my website, you can donate, like I said previously, because I'm quite partial to 3 wings and chips and a Miranda. Or rice, peas, chicken, ackee and saltfish. Or biryani, tandoori chicken and an onion bhaji. Or a shawarma. So if you'd like to support me with any of those, please do. I also accept cryptocurrencies. Right, so let me give you the thoughts that I have about the theatre in Istanbul. And really, I tagged that little bit on where it's not the cocaine train to Ukraine, because I don't know if you saw the allegation that was made that a number of European leaders, Keir Starmer, Mr. Hertz, and also Mr. Macron, were basically caught taking not taking drugs, but concealing the consumption of said drugs. There were a number of hurried statements, but they seemed to be, their pupils didn't look great, put it that way. And something definitely was a little off, to say the least. But that's not really the main thrust of this particular headspace, because this particular headspace is called The Theatre in Istanbul. And what this is about, essentially, is the peace talks that were supposed to take place in Istanbul. And why, in my opinion, the whole thing was a setup. It was a media narrative so that you could push a particular line. And the line that was required to be pushed was that Mr. Putin didn't want to negotiate. That would then justify more sanctions and America recommitting itself to the war. So it was a setup for Trump. And essentially, Mr. Zelensky couldn't negotiate because he's passed a piece of legislation which says that he's not allowed to negotiate. So the whole exercise was about that particular narrative being pushed, not a serious move towards peace. Because don't forget, this is the second Istanbul peace agreement, because there was Istanbul 1 and this is Istanbul 2. I mean, there's been so many attempts at peace, but this is one of the more notable ones. So it was Istanbul 2. So the reason I called the whole thing a theatre is because in October 2022, as I said to you a moment ago, President Zelensky signed a decree forbidding all negotiations with Russia. The law has not been repealed, and they also have martial law over there. So they don't have a functioning parliament. They have martial law. It's a one leader rule, effectively. And it's never been repealed. So anyone who went on behalf of Team Zelensky wasn't even in a position to negotiate anyway. They had no authority to make any deals. That's why Mr. Zelensky was saying Mr. Putin personally had to attend. That it didn't matter if Mr. Putin attended or Mr. Lavrov, because Mr. Lavrov did go, but it didn't matter who attended because there was no authority on his part to make any deals because they have a piece of legislation which forbids it. So that was point number one. That was why the whole thing wasn't serious. It was a political theatre. They had how many years to negotiate? 3 years? Why all of a sudden is there a drive for peace? I mean, there were several opportunities to negotiate. So why would one think that this is a particularly more reliable one than all of the previous ones that the opportunity was never grasped? Therefore, I'm saying political theatre. Based on the news reports, Russia sent a high-level team. Like I said, it included Mr. Lavrov. There were serious military and intelligence and diplomats, just as there were in 2022 when there was the first proper peace talks, or should I say a more notable set of peace talks, Istanbul 1. And what happened with Mr. Zelensky? He didn't even fly to Istanbul. He went to Ankara. So what was the point of that? And then he refused to attend because Mr. Putin wasn't attending. We've already established he had no locus to do anything anyway. There's martial law and there's that piece of legislation, but he flew to a different destination. His delegation was completely disorganized and they appeared almost non-existent. They were not negotiators. And we then had Western leaders saying to him, will you just hurry up? Hurry up, and then you can say that Putin hasn't attended. So it was just a masquerade, people. It wasn't real. The real goal was not peace. It was sanctions. It was to trap Mr. Trump, because Trump wants out of this exercise. Yeah, he wants out of the Ukraine, even though he seems to be constantly backing it. Those are the people around him. I don't think he wants to be there. Let's not forget, he did run on a ticket that, he was going to stop this war within 24 hours, if you recall. Well, those 24 hours have exceeded considerably, and it's still going on. The EU and the US, according to my thinking, don't actually want a deal. Certain parts of the US, not Trump, but I think the people that he's beholden to, they want more sanctions on Russia, which, let's face it, how is that working? You've got the likes of Lindsey Graham, peddling this idea that, Mr. Zelensky's so brave and Putin chickened out. Well, no, that's not the case. And therefore, we now have to ramp up sanctions. This is just, it's just more theatre, because the real and fundamental question is that Russia is basically winning. They're going to go all the way, presumably, to Kiev at some point. And then this exercise will be ceased, because there won't be a government. They had very clear military objectives, and they haven't changed, irrespective of the moving feast that is the Team Zelensky characterization. The whole thing was about also trapping Trump. Because then you could say that he's weak on Putin if he doesn't impose sanctions. Or you could demand an escalation because he's not coming to the peace table. Can you see? The whole thing was just a theatre. It wasn't about real questions around peace. Because Russia's objectives haven't been the same. They said they want to demilitarize the Ukraine, denazify the Ukraine, rescue their civilians that are held hostage in Kursk, and also expose the hypocrisy of the West, which is, not being funny. It's kind of not hard to do that. And also maintain their military momentum. They're winning on the ground. This is a war of attrition, people. The Ukraine's been winning, according to The Sun and all other newspapers, for the last 3 years. But we're still giving them money, and that the thing doesn't appear to have an end with them at the helm. So I don't think this was a genuine exercise in peace. I think this was a genuine exercise in media narrative and manipulation. What do you think? Give me your thoughts, your 2 pence, your 3 cities, or your declining dollar price. Jump up all in the YouTube at denisehedley.com. Thank you for your listening ear, and I will see you next week. And cut!